it a modernization of the Ecto 1. So the goal was, what would the Ghostbusters drive today? That's what we came up with. So there's a large fan base of Ghostbusters, and there's many discussion boards online, and the topic would always come up, what would make a good Ghostbusters car today? And the car that kept coming up over and over and over for many years was the Dodge Magnum. And it was kind of a square, low slung shape, and looked good as a cop car and looked good as an emergency vehicle, and people gravitated towards that. There were a few Photoshops that were made, and the Photoshops looked pretty much exactly like this, and we kind of went, yeah, it's pretty badass.
So the stuff on top, right, the ectoplasm, is that the same way that it was in the movie?
The gear, it's supposed to be a faithful recreation of the roof rack in the movie, resized to fit the Dodge Magnum. It's a little bit shorter, it's a little bit squatter, but the tanks are the same, the components are all the same. There's a satellite dish, there's the scope tower that goes back and forth, there's the side tanks, and everything else is pretty precise.
Now, you were telling me this car is 4 years old, but you've got 100 and some thousand miles on it. Where have you taken it?
Both coasts at least twice. We've been to Los Angeles a number of times. We've been to Seattle. We've been to New York. We've been to Washington, D.C., Chicago.
And you had a little trouble with the Secret Service in D.C., huh?
Yes. We played a game called How Close Can You Get to the White House with a Car Marked Radioactive? And the answer is about a block.
What happened?
Well, we got up close, and we could see the cop cars at the barricade, and they kind of gave us the hell is that look. And we kind of went, all right, let's get out of here. And as we turned away, two cop cars came out of the gate at the White House, surrounded us, pulled us over. I rolled down my window, and then the first question they asked was, do you know where the hell you are?
And you said yes?
I said, I don't know. So it was a heck of a time. They kind of did the whole good cop, bad cop thing. There was a guy that was very upset that we had a car that had all this gear on it, that we were that close to the White House. And when they went back to their cars to talk, we didn't know this until afterwards, but one of our passengers overheard him saying, that's the most badass thing I've ever seen. So while we're freaking out, the guy in the back is like, less to worry about. So
what kind of reaction do you get when people see it? Do people, first of all, people know, I take it's a Ghostbusters car. I mean, it's got the ghost and the bus sign, so it's pretty...
People identify it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Some people don't. The question I get asked more often is then, what is it, is, are you real? People want to know if we're actually Ghostbusters, and I have to tell them, no, it's a replica movie car club from Denver. But people recognize it right away. Sometimes somebody thinks that it's a Google car, Street View car. We've even got people thinking that it's a hydrogen fuel cell car, and some taxi driver will say, like, my people in my village need this, and I'll be like, no, they don't. They don't need a horrible 80s reference cruising around. So,
because the original car was a funeral car, right?
It was a 1959 Cadillac Miller Meteor. It's called a duplex or a combo ambulance. Back in the day, they didn't have ambulances and hearses. They did double duty. And so you would have the Cadillac, and it would have rollers in the back for caskets, but when you had to go get somebody, you would have jump seats that would flip up for paramedics, and so you could fit a stretcher in there. So they did both.
Which was handy if somebody happened to die while they were in the ambulance.
Exactly, yeah.
What's the hardest part of recreating a car? I mean, it's got to be something that is there instructions on the internet? I mean, can you go on the internet and find out how you build that?
There are parts lists, there are dimension lists, there are people out there that will say these are the kinds of things that a Ghostbusters car needs to have.
Right.
The hardest part is coming up with like a cohesive vision, and it sounds kind of egotistical to think you got it just right, but I think that when you have just the right amount of caution striping, or the right color of a light bar, or the right size of something, when your roof rack is not 30 inches tall, it comes out a little bit better.
And you said some of those parts are from the original car?
Yes, the tanks are exactly the same part as what is in the original Ecto 1. We had an opportunity to visit the actual
car itself,
filming vehicle in Los Angeles a number of years ago, and there were some few loose parts in that car that we scavenged and have placed inside there. So it has now bits of the original Ecto DNA.
So there's a little DNA of the original.
Exactly.
So am I right Does that say Dan on there?
That says Dan Aykroyd, and he wrote Ray and circled it.
How did you get Dan Aykroyd to sign it?
He promotes his vodka across the country, and he'll do signings. And we showed up for a signing and stuck the car outside, and he came out and saw it, and he was very nice. He was very kind.
Was that pretty cool? That's gotta be pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a good moment. It was a check off a bucket list.
Yeah.
The best part about it is when you like walk out of some place, out of a restaurant or a grocery store, and it's surrounded by people, and you can just sit back and just watch it happen. You can watch people go, oh, look at this, look at that, look at that, and it's not necessarily about being the center of attention, which a lot of people do. It's more about just eliciting a reaction in someone and observing that and seeing, oh, cool, someone that's made someone's day.
Well, thanks for sharing it with our readers and viewers.
Thanks so much.